What's happening? What up? What it do? That's for sure. But everybody in my city say, what up, though? What up, though, y'all? What up, though, y'all? You know, we're back on tour. We're back on tour. You know, we made it. We made it. We took off from Maryland, y'all, and we're headed back west. We done made it to PA, and by golly, they got some crime going on, and you know, they've had some stuff happen in PA, y'all. So I'm gonna 5 months ago, actually, 5 months ago. This what we're about to what me and the team, you know, on the bus, you know, this case that we broke down 5 months ago, y'all. This happened. Next stop we're gonna be heading west. We're gonna be stopping in Indiana, y'all, and then after Indiana, we're gonna be stopping in Kentucky. Then we're going to North Kakalaki. Then we're gonna hit Georgia. Then we're gonna hit Mississippi, Louisiana, and our last stop will be Texas. Then we're gonna come on back home to Michigan, y'all. So we have made it to PA, and you know the beginning of our tour was a little bumpy. We had to turn around, go back, Jack, and grab some new members, and some more shit. You know, crazy work out here. So before we get started, we're gonna read the copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976, allowance is made for the fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research, y'all. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use, y'all. Fair use is in effect. It's in effect, y'all. It's in effect, y'all. Fair use is in effect. So, we made it to PA. And by golly, there's a lot going on in PA, too. We know there's a lot going on in Detroit. You know? But y'all need to chill on Detroit. Pray for Detroit. I don't know when we'll be back in Michigan. But again, there's a lot going on everywhere. But this particular case, 5 months ago in PA. So me and the team, we're going to break it down. We broke it down. 5 months ago this happened, y'all. So let's take a listen. Thanks for joining us. And again, we got it. We just started. Again, it was bumpy at first. We had to turn around. We had to drop some motherfuckers off. We had to pick up some new members, you know, and some more shit. But I think we are, I think we're okay now. Jerry, salute to you. Thank you for that, super sticker. Keep rolling. I'm gonna keep on rolling in my George, you know his voice, that guy. Cause one monkey don't stop, no show, you know? Hell yeah, let me give you a round of applause. Thank you for that support. Thank you so much. Thank you. Salute. One more. It's all love, Jerry. It's all love. Appreciate you. Thank you again. Thank you kindly for that super sticker. You know? So, y'all, we are going to take a listen about this case in PA, and by golly, we just left Maryland again. Prayers for Maryland. A lot going on in Maryland. A lot going on in PA, though, y'all. So, let's listen, and then let's talk about it.
Two parents, 3 children, all presumed dead.
We were devastated. I mean, it was just a heartbreak, matter of how you look at it.
This house on fire would become a war zone etched into modern history, all sparked by a 911 call over a family dispute. What began as a domestic disturbance quickly turned into one of the most gruesome massacres and deadliest police shootouts law enforcement had ever witnessed.
A heartbreaking story for a Delaware County community. Tonight, we're hearing from just some of the people whose lives have been touched by the loss of the Lay family.
Just hours before this nightmare began, the Love family home buzzed with the ordinary chaos of daily life. 17-year-old Natalia Lay was probably thinking about her upcoming college applications. She excelled in academics, arts, and sports, the kind of teenager who made her parents beam with pride. Her sister Nikayla, 13, had dance practice later that evening at Kathy Collins' dance studio in Alden, where she'd been perfecting her routines for months. 10-year-old Xavier, the baby of the family, was likely playing video games or pestering his sisters with the boundless energy only a fourth grader possesses. The McLaughlin-Lee family looked like any other American success story. Their mother, Brittany McLaughlin-Lee, had been married to Shuang Lei for 17 years. Shuang was the kind of guy who never missed an Eagles game, the type of father who worked hard to give his kids opportunities he never had growing up. The family lived in the 3-story home on Lewis Avenue with Shuang's elderly parents, Huang and Chin Lei, Vietnamese refugees who had fled their homeland after 1975, carrying nothing but hope for a better future in America. But there was another family member in that house on February 7, 2024. Can Van Lei.
My honest thoughts on college in retrospect. I spent tons of money for a meaningless line on my CV, and it got me nowhere.
Zhuang's 43-year-old brother had been staying with them since his recent divorce. Unemployment had left him adrift, and family tensions were building like pressure in a steam kettle. But what could drive a man to destroy everything he claimed to love? The first crack in this family's foundation appeared sometime before 3:47 p.m. that Wednesday afternoon. An argument erupted between Can and his 13-year-old niece, Nikayla. Nobody who survived knows exactly what sparked this confrontation. Was it something she said? Something she did? Or had Can's mental state deteriorated to the point where any small irritation could trigger catastrophe? The grandparents, Huang and Chin Lei, witnessed something that would haunt them forever. They saw their son Kan shoot their granddaughter, Nikayla. In that split second, 74-year-old Huang Lei and his wife Chin realized their family was about to be destroyed by one of their own children.
The events that unfolded inside of a home on Lewis Avenue in East Lansdowne are still hard to fathom. And for the woman who says she is the mother of the shooter, it's something Chin Lee could have never imagined. Lee, who did not want to appear on camera, says one of her sons shot.
Crazy. I just want to say this, really quickly. You know, they said it was the worst massacre, and that was 5 months ago, y'all. This happened 5 months ago. Let's keep listening. Prayers for Pennsylvania. Prayers for PA. We're praying for y'all. And we're praying for Maryland. We're praying for everybody.
Five other people in her family, and then himself. Lee asked her doctor to interpret for her. He details what she says went on inside the home before she and her husband escaped.
Did she tell you how they got out?
No, we don't know. Suddenly it happened so fast, okay? Nobody know what happening. Nobody know what happening. Suddenly he's upset and he used a gun.
Chin Lee says her son, Kan Lee, had an argument with his young nephew and then started shooting. Lee says her son shot the boy, 2 other children, and his brother and sister-in-law before he killed himself.
I'm very sad, okay? That's why I try to help her.
These elderly refugees, who had already lost everything once in their lives, were now losing everything again. But this time, the enemy was their own blood. They ran from the house they'd called home, frantically dialing 911 as gunshots continued to ring out behind them. At exactly 3:47 p.m., officers John Meehan and David Shiatza received the emergency call. Both were 22-year veterans of law enforcement, Meehan with East Lansdowne Police, Shiatza with neighboring Lansdowne. They'd responded to thousands of calls over their combined 4 decades of service, but nothing had prepared them for what waited at 58 Lewis Avenue. As their patrol cars pulled up to the modest 3-story home, both officers stepped out, expecting to find a wounded child and perhaps a domestic dispute they could de-escalate. Instead, at 3:48 p.m., just 60 seconds after arriving, bullets began flying from the 3rd-floor attic window. Officer Meehan took a round to his left arm. Officer Shiatza was hit in the leg. Both men dove for cover behind their vehicles as the sniper fire continued from above. This wasn't a domestic dispute anymore. This was an active shooter situation with a high-powered rifle.
I got 2 officers shot. I have fireboard updated. What is the location of the officers?
But why would Can Lee, who had legally purchased his Diamondback DB-15 rifle from a Norwood gun store back in July 2020, choose this moment to turn his family home into a battlefield? What had happened in that house between the time his niece was shot and the moment police arrived that convinced him there was no way back? As officers Meehan and Shiatza bled behind their squad cars, Upper Darby officers raced to the scene with ballistic shields. The rescue operation that followed would later be called textbook and heroic by officials, but even as they pulled their wounded colleagues to safety, smoke began pouring from the windows of 58 Lewis Avenue. Can Lo had decided that if he couldn't escape this situation, he would destroy all the evidence.
Dang, and dude, he took his own life. But it should still be talked about. I don't know. So, me and the team, we just happen to pull up on this story. So let's just keep listening, y'all. And again, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button for yours truly and the biggest M I know, Share the live, subscribe to the channel. It's free 99. Let me know what you think. Let Big M, me and Big M know what you think or don't. And be smooth, be cool, and be true out there.
And anyone still alive inside.
2 police officers were shot while responding to reports of a shooting at a home in East Lansdowne, Delaware County. District Attorney Jack Stelzheimer saying a person inside that home then started a fire. More than 2 hours later, firefighters still working to put out hot spots.
But let's rewind to understand who was trapped inside that burning house. Shuang Lei wasn't just another victim. He was a man who had spent 17 years building something beautiful with Brittany McLaughlin Lei. Natalia, the 17-year-old, was the family's rising star. Teachers described her as academically gifted, artistically talented, and athletically coordinated, the triple threat that college recruiters dream about. She had that rare combination of intelligence and humility that made adults nod approvingly and say, "That girl's going places." But on February 7th, the only place Natalia was going was into the darkness that her uncle had chosen for all of them. 13-year-old Nikayla lived and breathed dance. At Kathy Collins' dance studio in Alden, she was known for her dedication and natural grace. Dance wasn't just something she did, it was who she was. Her instructors later said she had the kind of passion that couldn't be taught, only nurtured. That afternoon, she should have been getting ready for practice, maybe stretching in her room or packing her dance bag. Instead, she became the first victim of her uncle's inexplicable rage. And then there was Xavier, just 10 years old, probably the most innocent soul in that house. Fourth graders don't understand family drama or adult problems. They understand cartoons and video games, and whether mom remembered to pack their favorite snacks for lunch. Xavier's biggest worry that morning was likely whether he'd finished his homework or if his friends would want to play after school. But while we're painting this picture of domestic normalcy, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, Can Van Lee. What transforms a 43-year-old man from protective uncle to family annihilator? His recent divorce had clearly destabilized him, and unemployment can crush a man's sense of purpose and self-worth. But millions of divorced, unemployed men don't pick up rifles and start shooting their nieces. Was he jealous of Shuang's success?
And again, this is not an open investigation because he unalived himself. I'm sure they're about to go down mental illness lane. It is real. Too real, but it's not an excuse. It's real. It's not an excuse. That's in my opinion. It's very much so too fucking real, but it's not an excuse. It doesn't become real when you get in trouble, you know? Kind of like people only say sorry when they get caught. Same situation in my world. Yours truly's. Let's keep listening.
Resentful that his younger brother had achieved the family stability that had slipped through Khan's fingers? Or was there something darker brewing, a mental health crisis that nobody recognized until it was too late?
Told y'all. See, how, if they were severely that mentally ill, how can it go unrecognizable? It can't. It can't. Again, mental illness, in my opinion, is very much so real. Not an excuse. It is not unnoticeable. Like those people in the psych wards, that's noticeable. That is mental illness. I'm just saying. That's just my opinion, though. I knew they were going that route, cause that's the new end. That's the new avenue. It's a pattern. It's a pattern. I called it. Let's keep listening, y'all. May they rest in peace. Yeah, PA. Well, y'all got a lot going on, too. Prayers for PA. Prayers for Maryland. Prayers for everybody. Prayers for Detroit. Prayers for Michigan. There's a lot going on everywhere.
As the fire spread through 58 Lewis Avenue, first responders faced an impossible choice. The house was now an active crime scene, a fire scene, and potentially a rescue scene all at once. Upper Darby officers had successfully extracted the wounded officers Mian and Shiatsa, but what about the family members still inside? Neighbor Derek Richardson was recording everything on his cell phone, capturing the chaos as it unfolded in real time. His footage would later become crucial evidence, but in the moment, he was just a horrified bystander watching his neighbor's world literally go up in flames. The suburban street that had been peaceful just 30 minutes earlier now looked like a war zone, with bullet-riddled police cars, wounded officers, and a house burning so hot that the fire department had to approach with extreme caution. District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer would later describe the recovery operation as gruesome, but that clinical term barely captures the horror of what firefighters discovered once they could finally enter the structure. The Diamondback DB-15 rifle, the weapon Can had legally purchased 3.5 years earlier, was found partially melted near his remains, a twisted piece of metal that had ended 6 lives and shattered a community. The medical examiner would need dental records and DNA testing to identify the badly burned remains. 5 family members had died from gunshot wounds before the fire ever started, but 10-year-old Xavier's cause.
Whoa, G, Big M, salute.
Salute. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Are you good?
Okay, I'm okay. Yeah, it's a lot going on right now. I lost one of my cousins who was like a son to me. On yesterday, they called me and they found him unalive. So it's been kind of hard, you know. I'm just really getting over, well, not even getting over my biological real son, but now I got another son that, you know, is gone too. So it's like a lot of emotions right now. I was just going to sign on to see, because I didn't come on yesterday. I didn't get out the bed and nothing. I just wanted to get up and just get a little bit of me.
No, yeah. Shell baby asked about you, and I shared your GoFundMe. I did a demonstration earlier. I brought the update for Rebecca Park. I just got back. It was I drove up to Wexford County last night, stayed the night because they had court. And then I just got back. I brought the update, and in the beginning, I asked everybody to pray for you, and I dropped the link, and I showed, and to ask people to share, and we are in to pray for you. So I hope you don't mind.
Thank you. No problem.
Okay.
It's just been you go through a lot when you lose a loved one, and yeah.
Yeah, Big Eb. Again, you've been through a lot, and you're a warrior. So I'm glad that when I seen you hit the backstage, I was like, what? I'm glad to see you. I know what you're going through, so I'm just happy you're here. So thank you for pulling up.
I couldn't pull up and not pull up. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
I signed on. I seen you was on. Let me go pull up for a minute. If I just say hi, everybody, thanks for all the prayers and everything. I really appreciate it. I'll be back soon.
Absolutely. And take as much time as you need and
get my stuff together. Just give me a couple, a little while.
And I respect that. Absolutely. I respect that because, I got love for you. So, I would never I would take as much time. And let's see, we got a comment. In the mid-70s. Oh, okay, that's talking about demonstration. Okay, 1 second, Jerry. Okay, Big M, but yeah, you know what it is over here. It's all love. It's all real, so.
I know that. If I had to pull up, and I seen you on here, I had to pull up and come back.
No, and you always know, what it is. So, when you drop, but we're going on tour. We just left Maryland. We're pulling up in PA. Our next stop will be Indiana. Then we're going to be hitting Kentucky. Then we're going to go over to North Kakalaki, take my shirt off, twist around my head like a helicopter. Then we're going to go on over to the Georgia. Then we're going to hit the M, cricket letter, I, cricket letter, I, humpback, I. Then we're going to go to Louisiana. And then we're going to hit our last stop, which will be Texas. And then we're gonna be back in good old Detroit.
Mute.
So that I don't know when we'll be back. We had to start over. We had a bumpy ride. We had to, go get some new members. It was what it was. So, we're in PA. So we're just breaking down this case because there's a lot going on in Detroit, yes. But there's a lot going on everywhere. So, pray for us. Don't, chill on us. Pray for Detroit. Chill on us, So this is what we're doing, Big M. So next stop will be Indiana, and we're here in PA right now. So let's keep listening. I saw love to you and salute. I'm going to drop the link for her GoFundMe again. I'm going to drop it again while we're listening, y'all. Prayers to you. And Jerry, I'm going to get to your comment. He says, in the mid-70s, it wasn't mental illness. It was the devil made me do it. I say take credit yourself. Yeah. Interesting. Well, let's keep listening.
Of death was different. Smoke inhalation. This devastating detail raises the most haunting question of all. Was Xavier still alive when the fire began? Did this little boy, hiding somewhere in that house while his uncle systematically executed his family members, survive the initial shooting only to die in the flames? Or did Can's final act of arson serve as both evidence destruction and a mercy killing for a nephew who might have lived to tell the story? By 3 p.m. on February 8th, only 3 bodies had been recovered. Officers Meehan and Sciazza were finally released from their respective hospitals. Meehan from his treatment for the gunshot wound to his left arm, Sciazza from Penn Presbyterian Hospital, where doctors had worked to repair the damage to his leg. Both men were alive, but they carried invisible wounds that would take much longer to heal. Meanwhile, the community was grappling with a tragedy that seemed impossible to comprehend. East Lansdowne is the kind of place where neighbors know each other's children by name, where kids still ride bikes until the streetlights come on, where families feel safe enough to leave their doors unlocked. This wasn't supposed to happen here.
It's an unimaginable loss that no one can fathom, expect, or prepare for.
And I just want to remind everybody, this was 5 months ago. 5 months ago. Let's keep listening.
But we can see how much they were loved by the community.
Dr. Conche, the family's doctor, found himself serving as an interpreter for Chinle, the grandmother who had witnessed her son shoot her granddaughter. Imagine being 70-something years old, having already survived the trauma of fleeing Vietnam as a refugee, only to watch your American dream literally go up in smoke at the hands of your own child.
The world of education has changed in how knowledge is delivered.
Damn, yeah, that would be deep. That's fucking deep. Crazy work. Wow, this is America. But I thought we were making it great again, by golly. And again, I did drop Big M's GoFundMe for her family. It's in the chat. Please share it, or and do whatever. If you can help share it. Please share it out. And again, prayers to you, Big M. Let's keep listening.
And received at Houston Christian University.
The LeGrand parents' story adds another layer of heartbreak to this tragedy. Huang and Chin Lei had arrived in America in 1981, part of the wave of Vietnamese refugees who rebuilt their lives after the fall of Saigon. They'd worked hard, raised their children, and finally achieved the stability that every immigrant family dreams about. Their home on Lewis Avenue represented decades of sacrifice and determination. But on February 7, 2024, they became refugees again, this time from their own son's violence. February 9th brought the discovery of the remaining 3 bodies, finally completing the grim tally. All 6 victims were now accounted for, and the investigation could begin in earnest. The home at 58 Lewis Avenue was so structurally compromised that crews had to demolish it entirely on February 9th and 10th, erasing the physical evidence of what had once been a happy family sanctuary. The community's response was immediate and overwhelming. On February 10th, hundreds of people gathered at Yadon Community Park for a vigil that included a balloon release, 6 balloons floating into the gray February sky, each one representing a life cut short. The crowd was a mix of family friends, dance studio parents, school staff, and neighbors who had never even met the La family, but felt compelled to bear witness to their tragedy. Kathy Collins' dance studio, where Nikayla had spent countless hours perfecting her craft, dedicated their entire competition season to her memory. Her fellow dancers performed with heavy hearts, knowing that one of their own would never take the stage again. The studio's owner later said that Nikayla's passion for dance had been infectious. She made everyone around her want to work harder and dream bigger. But while the community mourned, investigators were working around the clock to piece together what had happened inside that house. The partially melted Diamondback DB-15 rifle, found near Can's remains, told part of the story, but many crucial details remained buried in ash and speculation. The timeline was becoming clearer. Sometime before 3:47 p.m., Can had argued with 13-year-old Nikayla. The grandparents witnessed him shoot her, then fled to call 911. But what happened during those crucial 15 to 20 minutes between the initial shooting and when officers arrived? How many family members were already dead? Who tried to run? Who tried to hide? Investigators found evidence that the shooting had occurred on multiple floors of the house. Can had moved through the home methodically, hunting down family members who were likely trying to escape or hide. The fact that he fired at police officers from the third-floor attic window suggests he had positioned himself strategically, turning the family home into a fortress. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the investigation was what wasn't found. There were no suicide notes, no manifesto, no social media posts hinting at mental health struggles or violent intentions. Can Lo appeared to have planned this massacre with the same methodical precision he used to execute it, but he left no explanation for why. District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer's office was thorough in their investigation, but some questions simply couldn't be answered. The fire had destroyed too much evidence, and the only witnesses who might have explained Can's motive were now dead.
Dang, can you imagine that? That's crazy. No answers. No, that's crazy. That's wild. They'll never get to know. Prayers for them and PA. You know, that's wild. Prayers for them. We're praying for them. Prayers for, we need a lot. Father, we need you. We're going to end it with that song when we end, because we need you. And y'all, we're going to have to come back in a little bit and soon. We're going to keep listening for a minute. But by golly, your girl forgot her charger, and I'm at 16%. So, we're going to go till I'm at like about 7, and then, yeah, we're going to come back, and we're going to head on out to Indy and see what's going on in Indiana. And when we ride by the D, we going to throw it up and say what up, though, but we going to ride by. Because there is a lot going on in Detroit. But there's a lot going on all around us. So, prayers for everybody. Blessings. Let's keep listening.
The legal proceedings would be brief. When the perpetrator dies at the scene, there's no one left to prosecute. On February 28th, exactly 3 weeks after the massacre, the investigation was officially closed. 5 family members had died from gunshot wounds, and 10-year-old Xavier had died from smoke inhalation. The fire accelerant used was so potent that investigators couldn't even determine what type it was. The flames had burned too hot and too fast. But closing the investigation didn't close the wound in the community's heart. East Lansdowne Mayor Majovi Bland stated publicly that the healing process will take a very long time, and she was right. How do you explain to children that sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you become the people you need protection from? The most haunting detail emerged from the autopsy reports. Xavier, the 10-year-old, was the only victim who died from smoke inhalation rather than gunshot wounds. This means that while his mother, father, and sisters were being systematically executed, Xavier was somewhere in that house, alive and terrified, until the smoke finally overcame him. Did Can spare his youngest nephew intentionally, or was Xavier simply better at hiding than the others? Whatever the reason, no one could have prepared for the devastation. And the heartbreak only grew deeper when news cameras caught a quiet moment in a cemetery that October.
Landlords, dealing with tenants and properties can get pretty exhausting, right? Late rent.
There stood an elderly
Dang, again, I'm praying for the remaining family. That's a massacre. That's crazy. Everybody pray for the family. Let's keep listening. PA, you got it going on. We praying for Maryland. They got it going on. PA, you got it going on. It's going on everywhere. Prayers.
Vietnamese couple, Huong and Chin Lei, gently placing flowers on a gravestone that carried not 1, but 5 names. It was October 13th, the day their son, Xiong Lei, would have turned 41. Instead of celebrating his birthday, they were mourning him, along with their daughter-in-law and 3 grandchildren. This couple had already survived war.
Again, so this is a closed investigation, so I can speak my mind on it. I wonder why no one talks about this. Is it because they're Vietnamese and, you know, but like crazy work? Everybody needs to be talked about. I'm just saying, in my opinion, in my world, we're going to talk about, it's going to be diverse over here. Real diverse.
Refugee camps, and the long journey of starting over in America. But now, they were left with an unthinkable burden, living with the pain that their own son, Can, had destroyed the very family they built their whole lives around. But the community refused to let the Liu family story end in tragedy alone. On March 9th, 2024, East Lansdowne Elementary School hosted a healing event that drew hundreds of residents. Children who had lost classmates, parents who were struggling to explain the unexplainable, and neighbors who couldn't shake the feeling that their safe neighborhood had been forever changed, all came together to begin the long process of moving forward. The ripple effects of that February afternoon continued to spread throughout 2024. Upper Darby officers who had rescued their wounded colleagues under fire received commendations in April, but the recognition felt bittersweet. They'd saved 2 lives, but they couldn't save 6 others. Officer Meehan faced complications from his arm injury that would require months of additional treatment, while Officer Shiatsa dealt with both physical therapy and the psychological.
So, interesting. 6 and then 8, 2, that'd be 8. Of course, the 2 officers would survive. That's crazy. 2 officers, man, the remaining victim, you know. But I'm glad, you know, somebody got to survive. People nobody deserves to be unalive, but I just find that interesting. And, you know, my brain. It's just my brain. So, just me talking out loud. Let's keep listening. And again, we're probably going to have about 2 more minutes, and then we're going to end it. Because, again, yours truly was lacking on her macking, and I got to get my charger. So, and we will be coming back later, and we're going to head on out to Indiana.
Aftermath of being shot while responding to what should have been a routine call. These weren't just statistics or case numbers. They were human beings whose lives had been permanently altered by Can Lu's decision to transform family conflict into mass murder. The line of duty benefits and medical leave could cover their physical rehabilitation, but who covers the cost of never feeling completely safe at a domestic call again? The investigation's conclusion on February 28th had provided technical answers, but little emotional resolution. Yes, Can Lu had legally purchased the Diamondback DB-15 rifle. Yes, he had used accelerant to ensure the fire would destroy evidence. Yes, 5 family members died from gunshot wounds, while 10-year-old Xavier died from smoke inhalation. But the why remained as elusive as smoke. Dr. Stolsteimer's office had been thorough, but they couldn't
That happened last year in Pennsylvania. You know, that's nuts. And, you know, of course, it was mental illness and it was too late. That's what, you know, we're starting to hear in a lot of these stories. Mental illness is very much real, but it's not an excuse. And again, if we think about those patients in the mental illness hospital, that behavior is super noticeable. So when they say, oh, we noticed too late, can't do that. So we're going to end it like we always do. And remember, again, if you can, just share the GoFundMe for the biggest M I know. She has, you know, and say a prayer for her family. They're, you know, they lost their loved one. They're going through it. Salute to you, Big M. It's all love. But we're going to end it like we always do. In my Winnie the Poohsky voice, y'all. Christopher Robin. You're smarter than you think. You're braver than you believe. And you're stronger than you seem. I feel it in my heart every time, y'all. Remember, y'all, be real smooth out there. Be real cool out there. And most importantly, be real true out there. And remember, it's all love over here. It's all love over here. It's real true over here. Real fucking true. Um, uh, salute, Big M. And she probably,
Peace.
oh, okay, there she is. My bad.
And my mouse.
Well, in my Big M voice, peace, y'all. And we're gonna end it cause Father, we need you. And again, salute, everybody. Be smooth, be careful, be real.
No.